That's team play. That's the kind of teamwork that we really like to see in Overwatch, and Iona is going to continue to run it. I was thinking to myself, almost vocalized it earlier, but you can run the Pharmacy here on Kings Row. It's pretty strong.
Yeah,
Is it going to continue to tear apart Ryder?
That is the question to go off on, especially because I feel Iona, Calamity is really good at playing in these corners, and how do you really play against that? You know, you either walk into it or die.
Yeah, and again, it's about those resources and how you're spending them. You know, do you want to pay attention to the Pharah? Do you have a choice of paying attention to the Pharah? You know, can you ignore her? And these are all questions that we're asking, that Ryder is asking as well, and that they have to find an answer for.
The bigger question goes down to, well, how is Calamity going to be looking to play this? Already forcing the side of Ryder to play in the hotel. I fully respect it. Soggy looking to just try and take them out, but that's a flare gun, and I don't really know how well that's going to be working against a fully armored target in the air. As we see, Grizzly is already not having that immortality as a safety caution, and well, they eventually fall down. The spam damage is just a little bit too much as they collapse underneath the weight, and they get picked off. Ryder University, they have to come up with a plan.
Ultimately yielding the first objective with as generous a time bank as Iona is going to have, you know, it's not really an ideal plan. More importantly, Nifty Bean is lagging just a little bit behind of Krev in terms of the amplification matrix generation here, which you would think with the amount of damage that Ryder is sustaining, could be actually a little further ahead. The problem is that there's a serious drain on the backline's resources. You might at one point want to run the double main support, get Twitchio on the Ana, and you sacrifice having the defensive ult here.
I can definitely agree to that sentiment as we see Calamity actually fall down. The res is still possible, and that's just a given due to spacing. But the Shatter finds out Ryder University! That's unfortunate, especially when Oblivion is actually the one who dies. They have to use that barrage trying to make a difference. Finding out Nifty Beans is going to be that big. Same with the support as they fall down, and yet, even with the Shatter coming out of Grizzly, they managed to force out the Blizzard.
There's
just
a
not
lot being
enough.
committed.
It's not enough to bring it back.
No, but you know, Ryder has no problem accumulating these expenses anyways. Krev might end up getting caught out in the... No, I'm sorry. Those were Iona College DPS heroes in the bookstore there. That fight was just messy, honestly, on both sides. If Ryder had just taken the loss of the fight there and walked away, they might look better here for a retake, or rather a seizure of this second objective. We'll have to see.
I mean, the bomb gets thrown, it gets into the shield for a bit,
Yeah.
and they lose too. Now, Ryder University, they're going to be able to come back, stop this push from getting too much of an issue.
And you didn't need to use support ultimates there either. So that's not a bad fight. You'll have the sound barrier in case Calamity comes up on that barrage a little sooner than expected, which is definitely going to be happening here. Look at all those connections. Went from 75 to 91% ultimate, which is insane. Syzygy as well will be working with the Deadeye, so there's a lot to mitigate here.
Yeah, but the barrage, it's going through the sound barrier, and the immortality comes out just fast enough. Oblivion is going to pay for the light, but Calamity manages to come out alive now with the high noon. Soggy can choose to try to pop it out, try to find out that far Mercy, but they are playing behind the corner. They are playing safe, and they are just looking for as much spam while Iona come back to the fight. Finding out Soggy is absolutely massive, if we can just say the least. This D.Va really wants to put pressure, but without that Cassidy looking to help on that damage, the rest of your team, they're just going to be shot at completely free. Though you managed to block the Shatter, and the high noon is out onto the counter. Ryder University, they are just caught down bad as that clean shot goes through, and that second point, it's going to be captured.
Yeah, and look at that time bank as well. And you know, we're not looking at that same scenario as we were in our previous matchup, where you have an obvious edge to help stabilize. Here for Ryder, they have to win this next fight, or they'll drop third point Kings Row with at least 3.5 minutes in the time bank remaining.
Now, look at that. Iona still don't care though. They move forward. They find out too. And although the bomb does go out on a hefty pick, the Valkyrie is there, and it's going to be helping Samex build up to those mech again. I think that's just more on Krabs. If you could take out that Falcon Mercy, and though you do get the body shot, they are playing out of your line of sight. It's a very dangerous play. Calamity's already looking to go onto the flank. The Widow is caught in the crosshair, not noticing, but is able to eventually pick off. Still almost falls down, freely able to escape, and Rider University are putting a lot of pressure down, but unfortunately that far is going to land and just die in. Same with the Mercy, just not in the best position. Ranger, hopefully, and I mean more than anything, helping that fight be saved until Grizzly gets caught out by a second, giving Iona enough confidence to start moving in, using that window. They are being countered out by that bomb with nobody to stun it. It seems only Synergize is actually going to be the one who falls down. The Shatter going through actually misses, unfortunately enough, and Iona, they are going to fall.
That was a really nice stabilization from Rider University off the back of the hard work of Ranger and you know, eventually Saga to help clean it up as well. I'm intrigued by the Widow pick here from Crazy Eights. I'm excited to see if this can shut down Calamity. You know, maybe if they go for a gutsy barrage. Beautiful shots.
I mean, that's their fault for standing still. That's not something you do in Overwatch. You know, you just kind of give it to your flanking Widow. So now I think the question truly goes into what are you going to do? Soggy's already looking for the next step with this flank. I definitely feel Iona, though they are taking their time, that time bank only gets lower and lower the longer these fights take. Now with the flank high noon, they move forward. Immortality, they boop it out. That's a little bit unfortunate. Soggy is going to be caught out of position. Poor Soul is not going to be able to survive. Now with the sound barrier onto Rider, they really just want to try and bring this fight back before it becomes too big of a problem. However, Calamity is not going to be able to live for too much longer. That Mercy is so dangerously low. However, the guns are there. They are whipped out. Now going after the Lucio. Poor Soul can't even touch. Is there anybody that can touch is the question. Cassidy's the last person, and it's just the no, as a 1 minute and 44 seconds is what we're ending off on.
That still ended up being a really nice hold of that last objective from Rider University, and it kind of emulates what we saw in our previous series as well, where you know you end up managing to whittle down that time bank to you know, something that's a little more manageable. It's not quite the, you know, the 1 minute 10 seconds that that we saw previously, but you know, just under 2 minutes. That's enough leeway to you know, to possibly see a full hold of the first objective if Rider can get a second defense here. But first they need to get a second defense, right? Yeah, they got to push all the way to the very end. And, you know, honestly, I think that that's plenty viable. It seems that with Crazy Eights on the Widow and Soggy, Soggy on the Colcast, Ranger being extra attentive on the Diva, it feels like we've got a really great answer to Calamity. But Rider looks like they might end up foregoing all of it to run a Symmetra teleport around the objective, rush,
I'm not against
composition. No, you know, honestly, this is a big win for me if I can see Soggy connect a right click through an Ant Matrix onto Calamity, just get the one tap right then and there. That's the play that I'm waiting for. That's the strat that I want to see.
Honestly, what I'm looking for is just more on the fact that Soggy can teleport throughout this map, which almost gets rid of how that Pharah works, you know, breaking off your line of sight. What matters if I'm just going to rotate the opposite way? I think this is going to be a very interesting take against the Pharah. Like, look, they teleport directly into their opponents. Unfortunately, though, does see Krabs is going to fall down. Same with Nifty Beans. The damage is just a little bit too much, as they don't really have a kind of diva to mitigate that damage. They will fall.
But they all fall at the same time, so it's a team kill for Iona College. It's a very quickly resolved team fight there for them, and it looks like Riders are looking to change up their strategy. They put Soggy on the Pharah, and Nifty Bean is going to be damage amplifying them. So you know, kind of some dog fighting that we're going to get to see go down. It's going to be Calamity leading in terms of barrage charge, but hey, maybe big plays to be seen here from Soggy. Already
if
finding
you can't beat them, play better than them. That's all I've got to say. As we see the Pharah go out, unfortunately, Soggy is going to fall. And as much as that's in a resible position, it's going to take a second. Oblivion having this shatter is a big factor. Goes through, does not land, but is able to rotate freely with the immortality. And it seems that Rider University aren't able to properly adapt against it. Falling through, this poor Widowmaker is doing their best, but not able to keep up against the consistent damage of Synergy.
Oh no! And then finally finding themselves on the on the bad end of a one tap from Calamity. You kind of had it coming, but hey, at least you got to play that angle while you could. I don't think we're going to see Kraz swap off of the Widow either, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I'd like to see more of these one-taps, and you see the pressure that Calamity is kind of put under here as well. Extra pressure is going to be added on with Twitcho's use of the Amplification Matrix, which was expended by Krev in the last fight, so no mirror dimension to play in. It's going to be all controlled by Twitcho. Well, it was, that is.
You know, the was is a very big point to call out. Twitcho able to get rezzed up, so this fight, it's not over. They're able to freely come back in. The grab pops out, but the window is there to pump in that damage. The shatter going through it barely blocks out as Soggy gets hit with the barrage after using the barrage, and that's a little bit of a sandwich just to be able to say. But unfortunately enough, the Valk isn't going to be everything. That Widowmaker gets caught out, not taking the Pharah. And with that direct hit, that was, oh my goodness, taking out a Valking Mercy. That's so much time going down, and that's a big stagger as we're speaking.
Yo, Twitcho's got the moves, man! He's got the moves, they've got the moves and the jukes! They were able to make it back to spawn, and that's absolutely fantastic. With a little extra help from Ranger and a defense matrix there, Oblivion is going to be looking for more value out of the Shatter. We got to see it earlier with a stun onto Ranger, who was on the Zarya, now on the D.Va, to see if Grizzly can generate their own Shatter and find the block on Oblivion here. Twitcho going down means that there isn't really a reason to push here.
I mean, they say otherwise. Just look as they try to keep themselves up playing inside of this hotel. I mean, the backline is there. That's an interesting charge, and it seems, unfortunately, Grizzly is going to be punished for even trying to hit the other opponent. That's only a tick that they've captured, and they have less than 30 seconds when this next fight happens.
Yeah, this really is the last teamfight territory, and in Calamity coming up on a barrage, that's a win condition. Might end up getting shut down by Kraz and Soggy, but you know that's going to be combined effort and really nothing to speak of in terms of ultimates to use early, right? So if you lose someone early, there's no swing potential there.
I mean, they look like they don't even care. That window is being used, but they are playing around it, not wanting to get shot. Poor Widowmaker even peeks. You know, that's not something we see common. The barrage goes through. Oh my goodness, the headshot goes. And now the High Noon has built a barrage inside the backline. Immortality is broken through. That window's not going to be able to get too much value as we see the High Noon looking to be placed down. That bomb is there. They try to play around it, but Force Energy's not going to be able to break through it. That Mercy tries to res, but gets gunned down by your own ally. With the Tracer, the last person to touch is not going to be able to bring too much out. It looks like Iona, they're going to be winning King's Row and taking us to the match point.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Iona College. You're seeing, it's kind of funny. You're seeing some moments of you know, caution and playing things safe, playing things smart, and then other times you're seeing just full commitment, full brawl. It's a really nice clash of styles, and I think that it suits Iona College's look as well. You know, kind of not necessarily capitalizing on moments of aggression, but creating moments of aggression. So really good